All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast, episode 149. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, and his name is... Oh, you cut out for a second. Say it again, man. Say it one more time for the people in the back.
It's your guy Omazes.
All right, that's much better. All right, how's everything going, man? It's starting to heat back up again today.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it.
Yeah, I'm doing alright. Can't complain. I mean, I could
All right.
complain, but I'm not gonna complain. How you doing?
Can't complain. Hey, man, I'm doing cool, man. I never get a day off, and it's all good. Ladies and gentlemen, the game on the screen, technically is new to the channel because I don't think I've ever went there. This is the original Kirby Air Ride, going back on the GameCube, and I fired that one up to get some arcadey footage, for the first topic that is actually about to start right now, which is the Kirby Air Riders, the Direct that happened earlier in the week, if I'm not mistaken, before the monstrosity of Gamescom that we'll get to later. But yeah, man, they had a Kirby Direct. I actually felt like they overly explained this game in a way. I don't think it necessarily needed to be 47 minutes. Usually when they do something that's like 47 minutes, even with PlayStation, when they do like a state of play or something, like the first half of that is like, here's a bunch of just stuff. Like here's a variety of some games. Some games I kind of feel like should have a couple more minutes longer. But they spent, 40 plus minutes on just Kirby Air Riders. And it was a lot of content that they said it had, and a lot of things they were showing. But yeah, I thought 47 minutes was too long. But anyways, right before I get to that, I just want to mention, with the game on the screen, just some early impressions, because I'm not sure if I'm going to come back to it that often. But this game was very chaotic. I kind of just turned it on and just went straight into it. I will say it does jump you into the game very quickly. And it also, like, the boards, the races themselves, like, they're over as soon as you start. Like, I don't know if you could tell, but it's already on the last lap, and this just started, and it's about to be over that fast. And so I'm not too familiar with Kirby Air Ride. When I have not played this back in the day, this is actually my first time playing it. But I did go through all of the levels that it starts you off with before you unlock stuff, I guess. I don't even know if you really do unlock too much, but I did all the levels in this footage because it just went by so quickly. But yeah, it's very chaotic. I don't think back in the day I would have been satisfied if I paid a full $50 for this. Which kind of brings me to the next point with the new one, because even with like people like IGN under Gamescom, they were kind of like hot and cold on the game. It's like it might not be a $70 worth game, the second one, but we'll get to it in a second. But for this one, it's cool to play it as a retro title now, because it's right there alongside so many other things. You could just fire it up, play with a couple people, then jump into another game. But it's like, if you really wanted to pay attention to it as like the game you wanted to play for like a week or two or something, you might be slightly disappointed. It's not like your traditional racer. It does move very quickly. So for me, like, this was the first time playing, I kind of just was running into the walls a lot. But you actually there's no acceleration or brake. It's moving you forward, and you just have to press left or right on the analog stick. And then you choose, you hit the A button to absorb somebody on the way Kirby normally does, just to get some power up. that you can execute, which is like similar to if you were to try to attack an opponent. And then that's really it. It's very simplistic controls. It doesn't require hardly, like, not even half of the controls from a controller. It's really like a 2 button, 1 button layout, really. Um, so yeah, now this, I think, like, if Nintendo was really smart about it, I think this would have been, um, well, the new one probably would have been like a really good game to come with the system just by default. Because it's very simplistic. It doesn't have much controls to it. And it's kind of chaotic. It might seem like really fun if you just like have everybody playing and it's just person versus person. Um, but if you're playing against the computer, I actually had the level. I think it's set up like Super Smash Brothers Melee, where you can have like level from 3 all the way up to 9 or something. I never really touched the levels. I just kind of like left it the way it is. Um, Most of these races I did not come in first place, but it's not so much that you're racing everybody else. You're just mostly just trying to like steer. It's really hard to steer because of how fast it's going. Um, the new one though, I guess we can go into it. So with the direct, um, it still looked just as chaotic as this old one. It's just better graphics. I think they've got more characters, where this is just like a bunch of different Kirbys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not gonna be Mario Kart, right? It's supposed to be something different than Mario Kart. Mario Kart is probably their flagship racer anyway. Um, but yeah, what do you think? Let me let you talk. What do you think about Kirby Air?
So, yeah, the game looks chaotic. It looks like it's a fun party game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you have friends over and you're looking for something quick, um, I don't know, maybe even like a whole little drinking game because it moves fast. Um, Enough, like, like one of those like party, but it's easy to, like, if there's a lot of people constantly switching out who's
Mm-hmm.
playing without people waiting too long. Um, like, it looks like that. I will say again, yeah, the 47 minutes was way too long. It felt like they were trying to, like, thoroughly explain that this isn't like a mainline Kirby game, that it's a racer. Like, it
Yeah.
felt like, and it was like, we get it, but like it just kind of felt like that. It almost felt like they didn't even really leave any sort of surprises for the release. Like, they were like, here's everything.
Yeah.
Um, it is cool that they have the different Kirby characters now, that, like, people, people can associate more things with Kirby than just Kirby. For example, like Meta Knight and stuff. Um, so that part's cool. I don't know. Like I said, it does seem like a fun game. Again, I agree with you that I don't think it's like a $70 sort of game,
Yeah.
especially because
So
you have, like, let's be honest, it's a racer, so it's gonna be compared to other racers, and it's like there's already a flagship racer on the, like, system,
hmm
that I feel like this is not gonna have as much. So it'll be weird if they have the same, like, price point. Like, I feel like this is like, it should be a little cheaper, but Nintendo.
it is a $70 title for the Switch 2 only. It it like, from what I was looking at, I wrote down some stuff for it. It is from the same developer as Super Smash Brothers. That dude, I don't know his name, but he came on the screen. The guy who was normally working on all the different DLCs for Super Smash Brothers. He did mention he was working on this game as well. Um, they showed off like I guess a drift system and then a battle mode. Like, I think a battle mode might be something that's new. With this game on the screen, the old one, they didn't. I don't think they had a battle mode, but they did have like a different racing style that's like top down. Almost like a really really old school arcadey RC racer or something. I'll show footage of that probably the next time that we come back to this topic, because I didn't show it here. I just showed the main 3D stuff. Um, but they did mention in the new one that you have like special moves that you can do to do attacks to people. Where in this game, the old one, you really have to like absorb something that's like standing around, almost like if he was like to get an item to shoot somebody, and then Kirby will like turn into one of his different modes where he absorbs their powers, and then you can use that to like attack a cart. Where in the new one, I think you still do that, but then you also have like a special move, which adds to it. Um, I mean, obviously, anybody who's going to get this game probably still chose Mario Kart World first, right? So I think, if anything, that should be what satisfies you as a racer on the Mario or on the Nintendo Switch. And then this game would be something that's just like extra. It's like, well, if I just wanted a different alternative, something that just goes way faster and it's just hard to control, I could probably just play that. Um, and I think the new one's gonna be like that as well, because like Gamescom, when we talk about it in a second, there was a lot of people who played it and they were sitting down on those little interview couches and stuff, and they were just like, they wanted to say they didn't like it, but they didn't. Like they had to be like
Yeah.
more political about it, I guess. So they were saying things like, I don't know where they're going at with this, and it seems like it's just missing something. Maybe it's just not for me, blah blah blah. They were saying things like that. I like, just say it's trash. You want to say it's trash. uh, I don't think this is trash though. I just think it, like right here. I can't really say how I played this. You already know how I played this, but literally it works because it's in that form factor, right? But I think if you were to rewind 20 years or something, and you bought this for $40 or $50 or something from GameStop, especially if you like traded in stuff to get to it, you would be probably upset. I think you would. But if you're fast forwarding to now, and it's like, okay, I got this plus a gazillion other games on GameCube, it works. It's like, okay, I'll play it. I'll run through it. Like with this footage is about 20 minutes, and I ran through literally every cart or every board that was available in the beginning, which I think was like 8 or 9 of them. And I never actually unlocked anything, and I think it's because I barely went in first place. But and I didn't look it up to see if I unlocked anything. I just kind of played it. I think the new one's gonna be somewhat similar to that, but they may have like a lot more content to unlock because they got to justify that $70 price tag. Um, and then I think that's where all the different characters come in. Um, mini games and stuff, because they showed a lot of mini games as well. Where this I think has some mini games, like I was saying before, the top down stuff that I'll show later. But if you were like paying $70 up front, I think you will be disappointed. If
Bro,
you
$70 and you see pretty much all the maps in 20 minutes. It's
yeah.
crazy.
So like if you're really a hardcore Nintendo fan, I'll put it this way: this costs the same as Tears of the Kingdom, right? And it's like, well, Tears of the Kingdom is like the flagship adventure game, if it's not Mario, right? Most anticipated thing. And it's like, well, then the next Kirby is going to cost the same. And it's like, you might not get the enjoyment that you want. There's so many racers right now that you could choose from. And I don't know if this one is like the top one that you would want, really. You know what I mean? But at least it's fun. And I'll be transparent. I did before. Funny enough, before I even watched the direct, I watched the direct on replay because I didn't catch it live. I did pre-order the new Kirby with my one of my mini gift cards that I have from my job. So I didn't actually pay money for it. I paid through the gift card, and then came home and kind of just watched it, and it was just like, oh. and then play this one and it was just like, oh.
Mm.
So I don't really regret it. Is I could gift cards all day, but I would probably be a little bit like, if I actually paid money for it, my money. Um, but you know what? It's still just an alternative. There's plenty of other races. Some of them we're gonna talk about in this show anyway. Like for example, the Sonic one that has everybody and their mama in it, and then there's a Garfield one that comes up every now and then. And then you still have Mario Kart World. You still got things like Forza. You still got those Hot Wheel racers that I love. The old Sonic one that I've mentioned a few times before. There's plenty of racers, right? I would say run through some of the ones that are more cheaper right now and enjoy some of those, and then come back to this probably. If you can catch a Black Friday sale. You know what I mean? And then go out there and find the old one that you see on the screen and, play it and, try to see how, if you like it, because the new one is going to be this with better graphics and maybe a few different more modes. But somebody mentioned in the IGN interview in Gamescom where, like I said before, you really just go left and right. If you tilt forward, you'll like go slower. But you're not controlling the actual like speed, right? So someone mentioned if you take your finger off the controller, there's still a probability that you would win in first place because it's pushing you forward the entire time. You just steer. And there's a probability that depending on the actual board, if it doesn't require a lot of steering, you could just win just by like turning the game on and watching it. So that's a thing in itself. Um, but yeah. Any other words on this? Or do you want to move forward? Anything at all?
We can move forward, but I just think it's funny the idea of if you don't want to play Kirby Riders, you could play Forza.
Yeah. I would just say like, okay, you don't even have to go there. You could play there's the Disney one that I think is free, right?
Yeah,
And then there's the Garfield one, which I think if you really want to play like a cartoony-ish one,
which no,
you
I get
know.
what you mean. It's just that like the image of it, where it's like I
Yeah.
can't decide. I want to play Kirby. I don't feel like dropping the money. I'll play Forza.
I actually stopped or just didn't really follow up with trying to find a racing wheel. But at one point, I really wanted a racing wheel and to play all the racers and stuff with. And I had decided at one point to go with a PC one because a PC one is technically quote unquote timeless because it's on PC. Where if you choose a console one, there's like restrictions. It's like it's not going to work on the other console. The PS4 ones don't work on PS5, that type of thing, because of the controller. But along with it, I will also need like a ultra wide screen and stuff, and that kind of creates a problem with my setups and everything. So I kind of just let it go, but at the same time, I am still enjoying a lot of different racers, whether they're cartoony like this or more like, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, that type of thing. And if you really look back at your collection, you'll be surprised at how many racers you got, especially if you jump into emulation, right? You just got racers for days, all the arcadey ones. Yeah, and so like only thing is just like as an adult, when you're done driving for the day, it's like I don't really want to come home and drive again. Uh, that's just me.
See, that's
Um,
why we need more games like Twisted Metal. So it's you come home from driving and now you get to drive the way you wish you could have on the freeway.
right. And even with this footage, I don't know if you was keeping up, but it's just like we're just going through these boards so
Yeah.
fast. And it's like as soon as it's done, that's it. Like this is 2 laps right? And it just goes by so quickly. It seems like a demo almost, and this is the full game. And I really think the new one's going to be similar. I hope that they make the new one like fleshed out, a little bit more fleshed out, like Racer, where you're actually racing. There's actually some skill involved and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be. It just seems like it's just going to be like really just fast paced chaos, which works. It doesn't. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just when you're looking at the price point, it's not a main game material type thing. It's like it should be more like $30, something like an add-on similar to that other game they just released, the Dragon Drive thing with the wheelchair basketball players. It's like that's not a main game either. That's more of a an idea, a arcade type thing. But obviously with the name Kirby, they gotta sell this, and so it is what it is. We can move on. I do want to mention again, it is a $70 title that is only on Switch 2. It's not going to be on the first Switch, so just keep that in mind. Okay. Even though, well, Gamescom is like 1,000 things in one. Let's jump to the topic of the PS5. So the PS5 is supposed to be, or it's gone up in price technically, but I did visit a store today where the pricing was still what it was before. But this is your topic. Why don't you lead us into it?
Yeah, they announced that the PS5 is going up by $50.
Right. So like each version of it is going to be $50 more. So that includes like the base one with the disk drive being, I believe, $550. The digital one just being straight up $500, and then the PS5 Pro is now $750. Right, pretty steep. Yeah, I was just gonna say that's still not including the disk drive on the Pro. And I didn't really look into it, but did they up the price on the disk drives themselves for anybody looking to do it in pieces?
No, I think just the consoles. I think they said all the rest of the hardware stays the same price, like the controllers and stuff.
Yeah. I guess, like I think I said a while back, I knew this was going to come eventually because it would have been the only thing that didn't go up. I think they probably waited on a PR stunt. Like, we don't want to be associated with trying to like trying to capitalize on a moment of Xbox double downing with Nintendo. Because when Xbox did theirs, I think their base system is a full $600 for the Series X. Funny enough, I was in the store today, and I saw the price increases for the Series X and the Series S, where it was the $600 for one, I think $400 for the other. And then I did see, and I showed you a picture, they had Switch 2s in the store. And I was not expecting that, but one of my particular Walmarts that I go to, that's a little bit more on the it's in a nicer area. They had a bunch of Switches in there, Switch 2s, the Mario bundle ones that are like $500. I didn't see the base ones, but I did see the $500 ones in there. But then when I went to the PlayStation area, they had a bunch of PS5s, PS5 Pros, and the PS5s without the disc. But all of their prices were still at the regular price that they're supposed to be at.
I don't know when it's supposed to kick in, but I think it was more the announcement said it's happening, not it happened. But, GameStop was like, hey, we know this is probably going to upset people that they had to go up in price. So if you go to trade in your old system towards the PS5, we'll throw in that extra 50 so you're not paying more after the trade in. It's the same amount.
So that's smart on them to try to capitalize on, the feeling coming from an actual gamer. I don't think anybody really needs to run out there and impulse buy, But I will say any store that still has the old price on the display and they try to ring you up and say, oh, it's more, they do have to honor that price on the display. So if you want to go all Karen and like ask for supervisors and do all of that, you can. But normal retailers are supposed to honor the price that they have on display, just so you know. Because when I went in there, the PlayStation 5 prices were still showing the same. And I do know they have to do that. I came from that background like 10 plus years ago.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
quick story on that. Years ago, when like DVDs was still a thing,
Yeah.
I was in Target and they had a sign up for like one of the seasons of Smallville were like $15 each, and these normally retailed for 40 each. So I was like, okay, and I grabbed like 4 of them and went to the counter. And when she went to go ring it up, it was ringing up as 40 for each one, and I was like, no, the sign says 15. And she walked over to look and saw that they had left the sign up, and it turns out it did have the expiration date on there, which was like 2 days prior, but no one took the sign off. So she was like, well, we got to honor it, and then like rung them down to 15 each.
There was a one time where a particular store had like blenders. I think it was Walmart. They had blenders that they were trying to get rid of. So for a split second, they changed the price to 1 penny just to clear inventory, and then they put it back. So that happens. You're never gonna see that online. You have to literally go into the store, and the particular store will have that. Similar to when like earlier, I think in the year or whenever we was talking about them getting rid of physical media, they were having a whole bunch of sales with different games, but that was more particular to a particular store because they needed to get rid of inventory. But yeah, the PS5 price went up along with everything else. It seems very odd because I think this is the first generation where the prices of the systems went up at the halfway point of the generation. It's also weird to say this the halfway point of the generation because I just don't feel like we've seen a lot of generational stuff. I think like we've seen like one thing here and there, but it's not like back-to-back greatness. It's a bunch of games that's coming out, but they just don't feel next gen.
I also think it's weird that there is still certain games that, like, I think recently this year there was a game that released on PS4.
Yeah.
Like, of course you can play it on PS5, but like its release system was PS4, which is a very weird thing to do halfway through. And it wasn't even like a both. Like, it's just if you buy the game, it has the PS4 logo on it. Like, it is not a PS5 game. And it is weird that they went off and they're all just trying to use tariffs as the excuse.
I think they're all taking advantage of that. That reminds me of when they were trying to use the lockdown and the C word as an excuse. Like, now they're using it as an excuse to charge a little bit more. Because that is supposed to be for like the borders, right? Somebody importing something or exporting something, well, really importing, because it was a thing coming from the president. But if the goods are here, then you should not have to pay that, right? It's because it's already here, especially if it's been manufactured here. But some companies will have U.S. manufacturing and will still say, oh, tariffs. And I'm like, but your manufacturing is like in this particular state, so there's no importing. It reminds me of I'll mention this real quick. I looked at like the Anbernic, their emulation devices and stuff, because I know I haven't really covered it here, but I know they came out with a 35XX Pro, which looks just like the 35XX, which looks similar to the 40FX XXV, which is like a Game Boy looking one with one control stick on there. So the Pro actually has 2 control sticks, but it's like in that smaller form factor. And on their website, it will be like $40 or something, like $45. But then when you go to checkout, it's like, oh, here's this tariff increase of like $20 or $25, and I'm like, well, I don't really want it now, because you said it's more, and they'll have like two different shipments, and then one of them will say China, but then another one will say it's from the U.S. They like have a stock of them in the U.S., and they're still trying to charge you that. And I'm just like, I don't even want it. I kind of only wanted it for a second one to have where it's hooked up automatically just to do footage for like the podcast and everything. So I don't have to interrupt like the control setups on the one that I have. But yeah, unfortunately, if you're trying to get one right now, it's the same prices as before, but then they're adding on additional, I think, $20 to $25, and they're calling it for because of tariffs, despite the fact.
It's
Yeah,
manufactured here, but the idea comes from overseas. So they're importing the idea to the U.S. and you have to pay for that tariff.
yeah, I don't understand that because they had more than one manufacturer. I'm like, well, if the one that's here is already here, why are you still trying to import like the cost of that?
Importing the idea, man. That's how that
So
works.
I was a little disappointed because I was like, okay, another $40, I can get another one of these cool, translucent colors or something. But I'm probably just gonna wait on it for right now. Maybe if I run out of other stuff to get and I still got gift cards, I'll circle back to it. But yeah. Real quick, the analog 3D is delayed again. So if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's the brand Analog came out with their own like Game Boy that plays old Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games. Well, they were coming out with Analog 3D that I think was supposed to play N64 games, and it had a fancy looking N64 style shell that looks like this is what it would look like if they remastered the system or something. Well, it was supposed to come out in the first quarter of this year, I think February, and they kept delaying it. And in July they delayed it to August, and now August they're saying is delayed again to either October, or they just didn't give a date yet. I don't know, but there are some people who are kind of furious because they really want to play their N64's stuff on that. For everybody else, I mean, obviously you could probably do it through emulation of some sort, but if you're really trying to play your original cartridges, you still gotta wait. It was supposed to be a $250 machine that has a wireless controller that's still going to be sold separately. Well, it comes with one, but if anybody just wants the controller and do it on their PC, that was supposed to be a $40 controller that I think they partnered with one of Nintendo's partners, I think 8-Bit Dough, ironically, to deliver that. And all of that is delayed, you know. It is what it is. We live in a time frame where nothing comes out on time. If it did come out on time, it's broken. And it's overpriced, and now we're trying to charge on top of it to the consumer. And clearly people are taking advantage of it because of opportunities, right? But yeah, that is delayed as well. Let's see. Let's Mitch, what you want to tell us about the vampire game real quick?
So Vampire Masquerade, the Bloodline 2 got a release date. And what they decided, so apparently the original game, the first one, because in the game you're a vampire and you can you have a background where you join specific factions, and that determines your vampire powers. The original game had something like 12 different factions. Like, it had a lot. When they announced the new game, they announced 4 factions, which cut down a lot. So some people were like, dang, that's messed up. There's only 4. But then they announced that there's day one, $30 DLC, and it unlocks 2 more factions. One of which is one of the more popular factions that people actually wanted. So I even saw a comment where somebody said, I was disappointed to find out my original faction wasn't in the game. Now I'm pissed to realize it is in the game, but I have to pay $30 if I wanted to use it on day one. And people are now they're arguing with saying that, like, for one, this game was like in development hell. It got switched to developers. You barely was able to even follow a release to begin with, and then on top of that, now you're trying to nickel and dime people. It already cost 70. Then you're making the DLC cost 30, and people are questioning why would there be a day one DLC that releases with the release of the game? That just means you took content out. That's not actual DLC. You didn't add things in later. You took something out that was already developed for it.
Yeah,
So, people are upset.
I could imagine that because that ain't that supposed to be the flagship title to that universe that also has like the werewolf game in it and a couple other things.
Yep.
That's the one that's pushing it forward.
There's some people who are now like not getting it. Like they've said that like once they saw that, they were already not trusting that the game was going to be great because of all the development switches. But then when they heard that, they're just like, well, now I really don't want it because like now the developers are just y'all wasted money having to try and develop and switch this thing, and now you're trying to make it back on us, even though it's your fault.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to learn a lesson. That's just it is what it is. They're just gonna have to learn a lesson. Unfortunately, yes, that means somebody else is gonna probably have to get laid off because they were banking on it a certain way and all that other stuff. But
Yep.
you're gonna have to treat the player. First of all, treat the player base like they're intelligent. Don't treat them like they're stupid people who can't do nothing else but just like hand you over their money, right? Like treat them like they have some sense. Treat them like they're respectable human beings, and they will give you all types of money. They'll pay for the statues. They'll pay for the steel books and all of that. If you treat them with respect and you give them a valuable product. At the end of the day, everybody just wants a valuable product. That's really it. That's kind of a shame. It's funny too because one of the games that was shown in the Gamescom lineup was called, I believe, Dawn Walker, something Bloodline Dawn Walker. Let me see. I know I wrote it down 1,000 times. But there's another vampire game out there that got a lot of press.
People are just waiting for that one.
Yeah, the Blood of Dawn Walker. And so and actually I'm interested in that myself. I'll go into it later, but yeah, I mean, there's going to be alternatives. There's always alternative to every title. So you want to make sure yours is as attractive as it can be. But something like a whole bunch of, microtransactions, in-game purchases, whatever, that's not attractive to the consumer. It's like, I've already paid for the game. So that's how I'd look at it. Because I've barely touched microtransactions this entire time. In my head, it's like, I've already paid for it. What do you mean I can't take my character and go from a red shirt to a blue shirt? And why do I it don't add up to me. I'm not getting with the times on that. Okay.
I don't like when it's core game stuff taken out, like locking a whole gameplay mechanic away. Like again, it's not something that's like this gameplay mechanic was finished a year after the game came out. Like it's ready to go. 2 of them on day one.
Yeah.
You're just like, but you gotta pay for it. And I don't like when like DLC requires like a whole nother playthrough. That's my thing. Like it's like if you finish the game before doing the DLC, you have to restart the game because it's something that it's not extra. It's not like new missions, post game stuff. It is the core game. And it's like that's annoying to me. That should just be in the game then.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's go ahead and switch gears to, well, we'll do the middle of the road part and then we'll switch gears. Because I do still want this to be done in a timely manner. We don't have to take all day on some of the stuff we've seen. But in the middle of the show, I usually like to give a highlight or a shout out to everybody who produces free content for everybody, which primarily is Epic Games, our unofficial sponsor, right? Epic Games likes to give out 1 to 2 games per week to the player base, mainly on PC. And you don't necessarily have to have a PC right away in order to claim the game. You just need to create a profile, and you can use any of your old gamer tags that's available. And then afterwards, when you do get a PC or a handheld, you log in, and then all the games are there that you've claimed, right? So from the beginning, give me 1 second. I got too many papers. Okay. The first game that's available right now until August 28th, I believe, is called Kameru, which is a cozy frog collecting game. So if you're into the cozy games, if that's your crowd, here's another one here for you, Kameru. I hope I said that right. And then Strange Horticulture. I don't know too much about that, but that's also available until the 28th. Available right now.
Farming game.
Say it again.
Farming game. It's a farming game.
The notes that I put down was occult puzzle game.
It's like based around like horticulture, so like plants and stuff like that. So
Okay.
Like, yeah, farming.
Well, within their thing, they did put the word occult. So if you into that kind of stuff, I'm not really too into that. I try not to mess with spirits, but that was in their description. So proceed with caution. Watch The Exorcist first. It's like, no. But anyway, from the 28th until September 4th, it's crazy that we're mentioning September already. Machinaruma, I butchered that completely. Machinaruma or Rium? Machinarium. Did I say that right?
I don't know. I ain't got it up.
You ain't got it up. All right, it's an indie puzzle game where you play as a robot. Yes, that's what it is. Indie puzzle game that you play as a robot. And then there was one that's just called Make Way, which is an action party racer. Now, I actually looked at that one. I am looking forward to that one. Like I said, I'm really into the racers right now. As many racers as that can come out. I like to, if anybody wants to know my play style, on my main days off, I do try to capture a little bit of footage for the channel, centered around some of the themes. But then I also, like, I will start off with a racer or I end with a racer, one or the other. And then I start with one of the, I also play one of the games on the Steam Deck, like one of the old GameCube or PS2 games, something that's more arcadey. Right now it's clearly The Incredible Hulk. And then the main game, which is either on like mainly on Game Pass, like something that's just like the main game, like South of Midnight, right? That's how I do it. But the racers are like some of the main ones that's in rotation for me right now. Most common ones are the Hot Wheels Unleashed 1 and 2. I'm playing them simultaneously. And then the Team Sonic Racing, which was the Sonic Racing before this new one that came out, I think in 2019. Those basically. And then I guess you can count Mario Kart if I'm going to jump on the Switch. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one to be another racer that I'm going to just keep track of, because I think I'm going to always have a racer, just because it's so common to just like simply pick up a controller and just race a track real quick. So yeah, but outside of that, I do want to mention, so I do have more Kirby footage. This is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This is a mainline Kirby game that was on the original Switch. But I do want to mention it does have a $20 upgrade for the the Switch 2, which comes with like some, I guess, a DLC-ish type content that's exclusive to the Switch 2. But if anybody played this game, you know it already has like an after game mode where things are a little bit more harder. And I think they played upon that, but just added some more content for the Switch 2. Like I said, it's a $20 upgrade. I did use a gift card for it, and I only had to pay like an additional $1.88, um, which I think was because of the tax and stuff. But that unlocks on the 28th as well, if you are interested in that. But this right here is just the base game. Still a very fun title as it is. And I think that might be it for this part. Do you have any sales or anything coming from Amazon you might want to mention?
Nope.
Okay. I don't think I have any other mainline sales or anything to mention, but I will say, like, pay attention to a lot of the different Gamescom games that they mentioned, because there were demos everywhere, but I don't think I got to write every demo down. And I didn't claim every demo, but I did like wishlist a few different titles. But there were demos everywhere, basically. So there's plenty of content out there that you can try. All right. The main the main show that was basically E3 without telling us it was going to be E3 in a way. Because
Jeff Keighley said it was E3.
he said it was E3.
He straight up said, like, during the beginning of the show, he was just like, E3 didn't go anywhere, just got a name change or something like that.
So yeah, what's funny about it is, if you are somebody who is like just viewing it for the sake of viewing it, you pretty much, you're looking at everything on YouTube anyway. Only the people in person is like walking around to different booths, standing in line to play demos and all of that, and it's a show for them. And then maybe they have a bigger show on the first day for everyone who made it, because I think this was in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. I think they said that, which for me, I wouldn't have never had a chance to go see that, right? Even if it was like here in my home state, I might have had a chance to go to one day, but I don't think I would have had a chance to do the whole thing unless I just took off work or something myself. But this was a full 5-day event, with today being the last day. Each day had about 2 to 3 hours worth of content. A lot of it is filler, people interviewing and talking. There was some cool stuff here and there. Like, I think day 3 was technically an award show. And then the first day was the Jeff Keighley show, which was ran very similar to his Summer Games Fest from a couple months ago, or his award show, like how he does at the end of the year, where it's just like a whole like theatrical thing, right? Well, the first day they had like the the stage and everything, and it looked like an audience was there, right? And they actually had like their world premieres and surprises. As it went along, there was just a lot of gameplay, a couple other things, and then there was just some shows that just decided to capitalize, like Future Game Show, and then they had like a whole indie thing. But I did manage to power through and see everything, with the powers of watching multiple shows at one time, taking notes and doing everything that I was able to do. My co-host,
the main show, the indie show, and half of day 4.
My co-host, he let us down. He did not do his homework.
I didn't let you down. You said so many shows, and I straight up said, this is too many shows. You should have expected me to not watch them all.
I said, I responded right away, ladies and gentlemen. I let him know to watch it at half speed, so that he doesn't catch any, he doesn't miss anything.
There was one lady during day one, and we'll get into it, but this probably isn't going to come up when we talk about it. She was talking about World of Warcraft, and I had it at 1.5 speed, and when she started talking, I thought it went back down to 0.5. Like, she spoke so slow, and I was like, are you sure this is 1.5 speed? Like, and she kept, like, also pausing for, like, crowd reactions, but they weren't really reacting.
Yeah.
Like, they reacted when she said, do y'all remember this? And they'll cheer, but she'll say things as like, we've been doing this for, like, 12 years. And, like, it was just silence, and she would just, like, stand and stare. It was, but it was like, so slow. So slow.
All right, real quick. I'm looking at my notes. I want to mention. So part of the free games and sales portion. I did want to mention. I noticed under Epic they were selling one of their mainline games, Alan Wake 2, the deluxe version, for $27.99. And this sale ends. It ends August 25th, 2025. At 3 a.m., funny enough, is by the time this goes out, the people have maybe 6 or 7 hours to decide. But I do want to mention that just in case anybody wanted the Alan Wake game. That does come with all the DLC, digital on PC. And then I had a whole bunch of stuff in here where I was going to go into detail about some Power Ranger news. I'm going to save that for next week. And I'll come back with actual Power Ranger footage. There's a lot of cool stuff. And then there's some more info on if you were actually trying to buy those $400 Megazords, what to expect. Because I took it all the way to checkout just to see what it would say as far as shipping and everything. And then I looked at a couple websites. So I'll come back with more information on that next week with more Power Ranger footage. Yes.
I lied. I also watched day 2 of Gamescom. So
okay.
1, 2, half of 4 in the Indy show.
Did you see the Future Game Show, man? The Future Game Show was lit, man. You gotta see the Future Game Show. All right. We will be back on that. Let me start off with the first show, which is the main show with Jeff Keighley himself. My man's is running 3 game shows a year, basically. Must have the greatest like career ever that you could ever ask for. But he has this show here. With this show, he shows some world premieres, some surprises, but again, there was still a lot of things that we have already seen before. I gotta say, going forward throughout this entire program, you're gonna see a lot of repeats. Resident Evil Requiem, I just mentioned this right now, like it must be the most repeated game out of this entire event. And I know they're gonna sell what they need to sell with that game, and I fully cheer the game. But man, was it mentioned like every 10-20 minutes every day. It just seemed so the first show was about 3 hours. There was like a pre-show in there. Within the pre-show itself, there was a few games that I wrote down right before we got to Jeff Keighley. Did you write down some stuff, anything that you was looking out for in the pre-show?
Valor Mortis.
Tell us about
like a French war battle game, but then like one of the dudes gets like you know, unalived, and then he just like before he's about to die, he just like drinks some potion and then turns into a zombie, and then it cuts to the gameplay where you got like zombie powers and stuff. You're one of the Resident Evil monsters in like a French war.
All right, I think I did see that one as well. I think the first one that I wrote down, funny enough, it looked like a 2D Last of Us. It was like pixelated Last of Us, basically. And I know that's where they were going with it because the game was called Long Gone. And you could see like a dude was like in front of his house or something, and then there's like a zombie that's like stuck at the gate. It bites him a couple times, and it was like one of those things. I was like, you know what? I'll put that on the wish list. Come around to it when it's on one of those like deep Steam sales or whatever. But that was one of the first ones I put down. Any other ones in the pre-show? Just the pre-show.
Oh, nope.
There was a game that was called Swords of Legends. I thought it had an amazing trailer. That was one of the highlights of the pre-show for me. Swords of Legends or Sword of Legends. Definitely check it out just for the trailer, at least. Even if you don't think you might want to get that game. But I wish list that one. The next one is pretty straightforward. What everybody probably would have wish list by now. They announced the Pac-Man and Sonic like DLC collection, or not collection, but crossover, where Pac-Man was going to show up in the Sonic game, and then Sonic is supposed to show up in the new Pac-Man game, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be DLCs for both, I guess, which I don't think that's ever really been done in gaming. Has that ever, where two, like, I know like content from one game shows up into another one, like Dead by Daylight or something, but has it ever been done where both games are coming out at the same time and they do a collab where they feature each other in the same time? You know, I don't know if that's been done.
The closest thing I can think of is Street Fighter X Tekken.
Okay.
They did Street Fighter X Tekken and Tekken X Street Fighter. So
okay.
It was a crossover between the games, but one of each was in the other one's graphics.
So, with the Sonic games, as you might know, they come out with a Sonic game every year. So, I'm more looking forward to getting the Shadow Generations game at Black Friday time, and then come back to this probably next Black Friday. But for the Pac-Man game, that one is $30 at launch. I do plan to throw one of the gift card money at it and pre-order that. I do have the first Pac-Man on PS4, if I'm not mistaken. I think both of them are like remasters. So technically you could probably go back in time and play the originals. But I do plan on getting both the Sonic and the Pac-Man game, but I'm going to get the Pac-Man game right away. It's already in the Black Friday price range. But that was one of the other things that I highlighted from this pre-show. I do believe Pac-Man and Sonic shows up again in more later days on the Gamescom shows. Main show had Jeff Keighley in it, obviously, and one of the other games that's like been shown off more than one time was Hollow Knight Silksong, which I think is one of the games that they started with. That comes out September 4th, 2025, and it will be day one on Game Pass. Hollow Knight is funny because the Hollow Knight community was so upset whenever the game was like shown in passing or on pre-shows in the past, on other events, and they wanted it to get its respect as like being such a big game to that community. Well, the people got what they wanted with Gamescom, because this is another game that showed up every day with a lot of gameplay content that they showed. Technically, I have not finished the first Hollow Knight. It was one of the games that I think was given away on PS Plus. I do have it up on the PS4, not the PS5, but I am going to finish it and then probably come back to this one on Game Pass. Do you like what you see with Hollow Knight? Did you play the first one at all?
I haven't played the first one. Like, it looks good. I just haven't played it.
Right up my alley. I love the 2D indie-ish looking titles. But this one has a big player base, so the player base don't treat this as indie. They treat it like it's almost like a AAA game. But I am going to get to this one once I get done with the first one and stuff. So many games, so many things in rotation. It's like, you know how you start one and then you stop because you're playing something else. That's kind of what happened with Hollow Knight, unfortunately, because I was just playing something else. But I do want to come back and finish it, because I do respect the player base. I respect the art style of this game as well. Very next thing they showed was, or the next thing I wrote down, no surprise to anybody, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. The next thing that was the next thing I wrote. The way that's being shown, it looks like a horror game. I think a lot of people are just kind of like whatever is Call of Duty just because it's Call of Duty, but it's not looking like any other Call of Duty to me. It looks like a horror shooter to me. But I thought it was dope, and I wrote that down. The one thing that stood out to me that they said was that it has a co-op of up to 4 players for their campaign, whatever this horror campaign is, and I'm looking forward to it. Anything you want to say about the Call of Duty?
No, it looks okay. I know a lot of people online were complaining about it, actually.
What was the complaints that you saw?
A lot of people said that it looks very generic and it doesn't look good. Like they don't feel like it's any sort of step up from the last Call of Duty. That they don't even like the graphics or something. They were complaining about the gameplay. Like a lot of people, like it was if they're not like a Call of Duty person, I saw like lots of just complaints.
Yeah, it don't look like Call of Duty to me though. Like I said, it just looked like a horror shooter. Like I wouldn't look at this and think, oh, they're about to have a bunch of PvP maps in there, all of that all day. I would look at it like, oh, this is like some sort of Alan Wake or sci-fi-ish type thing going on. Like Control or something. That's how it looks to me. But I guess if we're looking at it from the perspective of Call of Duty, no, it doesn't really look like it added to Call of Duty. But it's Call of Duty. Everybody's going to show up and play it. Whoever plays Call of Duty like that anyway. They did mention this will have its own direct on September 30th. So if you care about it, go back and look at it. The very next thing, what's the next thing you wrote down? What'd you write down?
The main game that I'm excited for from the whole event, Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Lego Batman, you could tell they modeled it after the Arkham games. I'm
Not
excited.
Only that, they shouted out a bunch of stuff. So it's modeled after the Arkham games. It's supposed to cover like all of Batman from like his start to like him becoming experienced. And they said through the game you start to pick up allies and they become experienced. So like they've already said that like you'll get like a Robin and eventually he becomes Nightwing, like through the game and story and everything. So it's just the entire expanse of Batman. They shout out the Batman because they pulled that sequence with the Penguin car. But if you paid attention to the Penguin, it wasn't Colin Farrell's Penguin, it was Danny DeVito's Penguin. They used the Bane from like the look is regular Bane, but it was doing the Dark Knight trilogy voice. They had the Heath Ledger Joker in there. They mentioned you can have all of the Batmobiles, like all of them are in there.
Yeah.
They also mentioned Adam West Batman's outfit is in there. They deep pull from a lot of different sources and a lot of his comic book stuff. Like this is almost coming out as a definitive just Batman game, and to me it puts Warner Bros. To shame. Especially since they just announced that they're going back to live service stuff. But this was like the main game that I was excited for from the entire event.
Yeah. I was excited too. I thought that it was pretty cool that they were gonna go through the full Legacy of the Dark. I will be playing this. I think they mentioned that this was fresh off of the Star Wars one that they did. And I wonder what other series they can do, because this has more hype than the Horizon one, right? The Horizon one didn't have this kind of hype, but this is another one of the games that like shows up again and again throughout the entire Gamescom event. So they do show a lot of gameplay, and it's interesting to see how it is Legos, but it still has the same combat as what you would normally expect from one of the Arkham games. Yep. I will advise for the people, if you missed any Batman films, I have missed a couple of the new ones. Definitely just check out all the films before this comes out, and then play the game, because it does reference a lot of the films and put their spin on it with like the Lego universe. There are previous Lego Batman games too, right? Where they can go out there and try some of the old ones. before getting to this one. I actually think a couple of them were given away on PlayStation Plus, if I'm not mistaken. I do know I remember claiming one of them. But yeah, definitely check those out and then play this one. Like, play the new one or play the old ones, watch the movies, and then just in time you could play this one. I do want to say, man, you missed one game, man. There was a game that they showed right before this, man, that you missed. You didn't mention. I'm surprised you didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it right now. It was Lords of the Fallen 2.
Of course you're gonna mention that. Of course I didn't write it down.
Lords of the Fallen 2.
Lords of the Fallen was trash. Okay, first of all, they didn't even fully fit a game that we played until more than a year after its release, and it was a month after we were finally done with it. I still hold a grudge that I didn't get to watch the ending cutscene because it glitched on me. This game is trash. The next one's gonna be trash, and I'm not gonna play it.
How is the next one gonna be trash? You don't even know.
Because they don't know how to make a good game. It's just trash. I'm not playing it.
Lords of the Fallen 2, man. I think we saw something where it was like 80% up in sales already or something. They ain't even, or the pre-orders. That's what it was. The pre-orders is like 80% up and everything, man. On the PS5 version or whatever. I mean, this game is hype. It's hype, man. I'm just saying. The trailer looked really good.
I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play it. I checked out as soon as I recognized it was Lords of the Fallen. I stopped watching. I don't care. Y'all have fun. I'm not playing that shit.
Hey, man, this is a family show, man, and this is a family game.
That one needed it. All right, I can hold my tongue for everything else. That game is trash. Boo boo water. I ain't playing it.
So my co-host is gonna be pre-ordering it day one. He's gonna be camping outside of GameStop the day before. You know what I'm saying? He capping, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. Lords of the Fallen 2, ladies and gentlemen, most anticipated Souls game outside of, From Software. They did mention, speaking of From Software and the Souls community, they showed off Sekiro as a anime. Did you see that? It was like right before the Batman, at least in my list. For anybody out there, you can go and play the Sekiro game. But what we've seen with different animes in the past, Cyberpunk comes to mind. Whenever something like that comes out, it brings a resurgence to the game. Sekiro has its own player base where they feel like, the From Software Souls-like player base says the Sekiro game is like one of the harder ones. But From Software is also known for being more combat driven and gameplay driven and not necessarily story driven like that. So if you really want to get the fleshed out story of Sekiro, pay attention to this anime. Is this something you're gonna be checking out, the anime itself?
Yeah, I'll check that out. It looks good.
I don't have to follow it going forward because I actually do not know like when it's gonna come out or everything or anything. They just kind of showed the trailer, but I'm pretty sure the fan base will let us know as time goes on. After the Batman game, the next thing that I wrote down was Omnimushi: The Way of the Sword, or Way of the Sword, which is a game that's supposed to come out in 2026. Very flashy. Something I really into the hack and slashers, samurai-ish type games. This is a full 3D game. Did you write this down or did you check this out?
I saw it. I didn't write it down because it was one of the games from the summer shows that we already talked about.
Yeah. This isn't new.
Yeah, there was unless it was like heavily shown here. So like for example, The Outer Worlds 2 was mentioned at the old show, but then it was heavily shown here. I wrote it down, but if it was something that it almost felt like an equal amount of showing, I didn't write it.
A game that I wrote down afterwards, but I actually do not plan to go back to. The Indiana Jones DLC, which is called Order of Giants. I did play the game to the first game or the base game to its completion. I do have all the footage. The footage is not really something that's watchable in my opinion. It's just first person to do walking around. But as a game, if you're into Indiana Jones, it is a fun experience, especially if it's like a blast in the past for you, if you watch those movies from way back when. But I played the game on Game Pass. I didn't buy it. And I don't really feel the need to play the DLC, honestly. Now, if they put it on Game Pass and I really just feel like, okay, let me just play this as extra, next to my main game. Like if the DLC was in Game Pass, maybe. But I think the DLC is something they expect you to buy. And I don't really plan to buy it. It comes out September 4th, 2025. Were you ever interested in the first Indiana Jones, like just the game itself?
Yes. Like I enjoyed the movies, but I wouldn't call myself like a super diehard fan. So it wasn't something I was gonna like rush out and get, but it is something I plan to play eventually.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Cause that's kind of how it is for me. I had some fun with it. But yeah, it is what it is. The next thing I actually wrote down was not necessarily a game. I appreciated the song piece or the performance that they did for the game of the year of this year. Claire Obscured Expedition 33. They just did, a quick, thing of one of their main songs. I thought it was beautiful. It was elegant. It was awesome, man. I liked it. I liked it. Did you like the performance? Did you fast forward? Don't tell me you fast forward to that.
Into it. It was good.
It was a good performance.
Nice
it was
little,
good.
Yeah, nice melodic French song. I always pay attention to the musical performance. Like one of the years I went crazy about it and wanted to get the song. The next thing I had wrote down, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando.
Okay, tell us about
your classic, horde shooter where a bunch of zombies are coming at you, pretty much World War Z with a new like skin based off of Toxic Commando. But like I enjoy those games only like really in co-op and everything. Like it's fun trying to manage the horde and like honestly it's like my favorite part, which is crazy because I don't usually like these type of games where it's like the whole management sim stuff. But like my favorite part is when we like pre-set up traps and everything and then like watching it work as we go through. It's like, yeah, we're gonna set up a turret here and this electrical grid here and then all right, let's see if we can handle the horde and like just seeing if like the creativity works out. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, the next thing that I wrote down, actually the next couple things is stuff we've seen already. They showed Ninja Gaiden 4. Funny enough, I didn't finish the first one yet. I'm going to go back to it. I still remember I got worked out very early on. I got the footage. I'm gonna still finish the first game and get the footage for that. I actually finished the next couple of them, and then get to 4. But they showed 4, and then they also had just after that Silent Hill F. I'm going to talk more about that in one of the later days. Yeah, because
they clarified it as not a Souls-like. Like the dude kept making a point of like in that later day. Like I think that was probably one of the last things I saw from the day 4, where he was really making a point to try and explain it is not a Souls-like.
Yeah, they showed some more gameplay in one of the later days, and then they gave like the release date and some stuff. So yeah,
the next thing I had wrote was called Death by Scrolling.
Okay.
So it's like a little chaotic, old school looking, like it had the old Pokemon graphic looking game, where basically you're supposed to run, fight enemies, and collect loot, while the map is like scrolling down vertically and you're running up. So it's like don't get caught and like keep moving. So it just seems like a nice little chaotic, quick, let me do like 2 rounds and then like go do something else type of game.
Yeah. So The next thing was also something we've seen plenty of times. That does show its face more than once. Chronos: The New Dawn. This is supposed to come out on September 5th, 2025. That's another running theme that I've seen. A lot of things that was shown throughout these events all have September releases, which is cool. So it's right around the corner. One thing new to note about this game, if you pre-order under Steam, if I'm not mistaken, you will get the ability to claim the game The Medium that came out a few years back for free. If you pre-order it under Steam, from my understanding, I already have The Medium, so I'm just kind of waiting for this game to kind of go on sale, or whatever, or at least just to see some reviews on it. But I will be playing this. This is a really cool looking horror, shooter, third person shooter.
Yeah,
It's not
few
new.
games that showed before Chronos.
What you got?
NTE Neverness to Everness. It was just your normal like anime looking hack and slash game, but it looked fun. And then Cinder City, which is like an MMO tactical, like a bunch of people working together in a sci-fi post-apocalyptic world, like shooter. So it's
Hmm.
like you're think like Warframe or The Division, but with like sci-fi elements. Well, I guess
Okay.
Warframe is sci-fi. So it's like a fusion of Warframe and The Division, but like a group of people like all shooting and working together.
Okay. Everything else honestly is repeats. I just maybe I could
Oh
just
yeah,
mention it
the
real
only other two
fast.
things I have is the Outer Worlds 2, and even though everyone's hating on it, I did watch some gameplay of it, so that's why I'm a little more hyped for it. But Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline 2.
Yeah, Outer Worlds I think I had wrote down as well. Code of the
I'm
Lamb is
hoping.
just
Oh god, god.
I was just gonna say Code of the Lambs is supposed to have a DLC. What else were
Hmm.
you gonna say?
That Outer Worlds trailer, I thought was funny when they said it was the companion trailer. So they were
Mm-hmm.
like the thing that people are gonna remember. And one of the funniest things that I thought from it was it showed off all the companions, and then it was like, and you can't sleep with any of them. And it showed like the main character crying at a table, but it's for the fact that like everyone always tries to like do romance stuff with the companions, and that's not a feature in the Outer Worlds, romance stuff. So I love that they just kind of made it clear in the trailer, but also did it in a very goofy, funny way.
Yeah. So I think I already said Code of the Lamb. So the next couple things, um, even though they presented it last, like it's like the big thing is pretty much what we've seen already. Ghosts of Yote was one thing, and then the star of this entire event, Resident Evil Requiem, which has the release date of February 27th, 2026. Um, this shows up a few more times, but the one thing I do want to point out that I notice is maybe it also has something to do with the title a little bit, Requiem, because of how they actually say it. Sometimes they'll say Resident Evil Requiem like that, but if you pay attention, they've actually drawn inspiration from the Rec movies. The main thing that's chasing you looks just well, spoilers, I guess, from the Rex movie. The extra tall, creepy lady with the virus thing in her. That's in the attic of that building. Like that's in this game. But they made it obviously look a little bit more creepier. And she's chasing the reporter lady, the lady who's a reporter. She was a police officer reporter in the movies as well. I don't know if anybody paid attention. But I drew the connection right away because I was a fan of those series. But there never was a Rec game. There was only the Rec movies. But if you want something similar, Resident Evil has you covered here, and they're a well-known oil machine. So that was just something I paid attention to. If anybody go back and look, you'll notice right away as soon as you see it. The chick that's chasing you is almost like the nemesis of this. She is the thing, and it's funny because in the game, she comes down from the ceiling the same way. It chases you everywhere. They show a lot of footage here throughout the different days. So I'm looking forward to that game, just like any other Resident Evil game. I actually want to mention too, I believe I'm going to play Resident Evil 4, the original GameCube version, but not that version. The original one that was from GameCube, but on the PS4, the one that was ported to the PS4. I'm going to play that probably in October, and I think what was the other title? I can't even think of it right now. But the horror game that we was criticizing at the very beginning of our podcast, I can't even think of it. Callisto Protocol, that one. I'm gonna probably play the PC version of Callisto Protocol along with Resident Evil 4, the older version, not the remake, this October. My co-host is gonna be finishing Resident Evil 7. Can't wait to see the footage from him. Hopefully he can get it to us sooner than later. Anyways, that's not all. That is not all from this event. They ended on the highest note they can end on, man. You already know what I'm gonna say. They ended with the next game in the Black Myth universe. The Zone Q game, Black Myth Zone Q. One of the biggest, most anticipated Black Myths of all time. You know what I'm saying? I was so excited to see this. I've heard from the grapevine too that they've already copyrighted or trademarked. That's what they trademarked, like 6 other Black Myth game titles. I'm like, oh, it sounds like Black Myth about to be coming back to back, I guess, for a long time. I'm like, oh yes, you know, the true game of the year. You feel me? The game, you know what I'm saying? The player base is here. You know what I'm saying? The true game of the year. You know what I'm saying? Don't even have to come out with they DLCs for free because ain't nobody trying to buy them. You know what I'm saying? The real game that pulled in some real money. Enough money to actually form a sequel.
All you want. It ain't win. It lost. Deal with it.
You know what I'm saying?
Be happy that they get
it made some real money. You know what I'm saying? That they can make a sequel that fast. You know what I'm saying? The other games is
well actually make
the other games is all old. You know what I'm saying? It's the true game. You know, bam, right back to back. We would have had like 5 or 6 of them. You know what I'm saying? Unlike some of these other games out here, you can't even barely get the first one out there. Okay. Anyways, I'm excited.
Are you talking about Astrobot?
Are you excited? Are you excited?
Astrobot is like the third one.
I don't know.
Down. Anyways.
Can't even spend the money to port the VR game onto the next VR. They can't even do that. I'm just saying. We eating good over here in the Black Myth universe. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Okay, so is the Astrobot one.
I'm just saying. Bam.
Okay.
Very bam. It was last on this show. You know, some of these other game of the years didn't even show up at all. We didn't even know what's going on with the other.
There was nothing.
We didn't even show up at all. But listen, anyways, I'm just saying. It was hot. The new hotness. Most anticipated game next to GTA 6. You feel me? This was day one. Day one was a very nice day. I was appreciative of the games here. A lot of stuff I already had on the wish list. I added more to the wish list, including the Black Myth. You feel me? But day one in the books. Now, day 2, ladies and gentlemen. Gamescom day 2 was about 2 hours long. And it had a lot of repeats, a lot more additional gameplay. One of the first things that I wrote down was more Hollow Knight. They showed a lot of Hollow Knight gameplay. You know what I'm saying? What did you like about day 2?
I only have 2 games written down from day 2, and that's Crimson Desert. which seems like your Skyrim looking MMO with some cool stuff in there, and then Lego Voyagers. So that was a game that was shown off in the summer, but I did actually forget about it. It's like a relatively cozy like co-op platformer using Lego pieces, and you're like a singular little block, uh, trying to platform your way through. So that one looks pretty fun.
Okay. I mean, most of the stuff that they showed that I wrote down was already mentioned before. The Borderlands 4, the Batman Lego game. There was one particular game that they spent a lot of time on in this show that I have not seen since 2021. That I wishlisted a long time ago. It was called Replaced. It was a 2D game that had like a John Wick style to it. They showed more of it. Now with this gameplay footage that they did show, a bulk of it was just them going through some dialogue and standing around, but they did get the chance to go through some combat. The game was originally introduced during, I believe, an Xbox show in the summer, like the E3 summer of 2021. This is supposed to be a day one Game Pass release. I am still looking forward to it. That was one of the main things that I showed that was new. Everything else was all old. There was one other thing that gets spammed throughout this event that I've seen, which was a IGN commercial that I thought was really interesting, but they alluded to you paying for an IGN subscription to their version of some guides that they just kept showing over and over. And I'm like, since when do we pay IGN for their guides, I guess?
Yeah, I thought they were advertising it as free. I missed the pay part. I just heard them saying that, like, if you ever need a guide, you can always go to the IGN extensive ones. Like,
Yeah, you can also, apparently they got a subscription you can, subscribe to.
no thank
So
you.
that was a thing in itself. But that's really all I have from day two. I ain't really had too much. It was still a lot, but I was still burning through a lot of this content very quickly. Anything else you want to tell me about day two? Anything?
Nope.
Nothing at all. All right. To interject, I think the very, very next thing that they showed was actually the Future Game Show. So you're telling me you didn't see the Future Game Show?
I kind of forgot because like I was going through the days, and I meant to watch that one, but then after I watched day two, I just jumped to day four because of how boring day two. Or I saw the Indy one. I just forgot that it was there. To be honest,
Man, that one had a lot of cool stuff that I thought added to this event. I thought it added a lot of value to the meat and potatoes of this event, because the first part of it was all the main show with Jeff Keighley, and then afterwards there's a lot of interviews, there's a lot of gameplay of a lot of stuff that we saw. But this particular show actually had a lot of new games that were more on the indie side, a lot more than the indie show itself. It was two hosts, just like how they always do, where it's two voice actors. And with the voice actors, when I say plenty of corny jokes, I mean every little skit or whatever they was trying to do on that stage was just corny joke after corny joke after corny joke. But I didn't let it really annoy me or like ruin the moment. I just kept watching it for what it was. But I had a bunch of different games here. So the first one I put down was Edge of Memories, something that's coming out in 2026. It's a 3D slasher. I think it's more on the anime side. Check it out. Anime 3D slasher. And another one was actually Skate, which this particular one is going to be a large MMO world skate game with some parkour in it. Say it again.
That concerns me. So I've played both Skate and Tony Hawk. Skate was always the more realistic one, but them going with the whole MMO, almost kind of a live service sort of thing, uh scares me a little bit.
I mean, I just look at it as a bunch of people just skating around, probably bumping into each other. I don't know
Yeah,
how much I can really
I
take
hope it's
from it.
focused on that. Like I hope it's MMO because they want it to feel multiplayer, and not MMO because they want to try and like charge for every single thing. Like, oh, you want to change the color of the wheels on your skateboard, or you want to go to this location, or things like that. That's what I'm hoping for. Like, don't overcharge.
Yeah. Um, some repeats. They show more Resident Evil Requiem gameplay. And then the game I'll spend a couple minutes on, the Blood of Dawn Walkers, which is the vampire game. So you are half vampire, half human in this particular title. That's why you're considered a Dawn Walker. In this particular game, they mention the developers that you need to, drink blood in order to survive, right? If you go too long without doing so, the character will get more and more hungry, and he may end up taking over where he bites somebody important. If he bites somebody important in storyline and it affects them, that would affect the storyline. Or you might lose a key person that affects the story going forward. That was something that they mentioned I thought was pretty interesting. This does have like Witcher vibes to it. It looks like the combat and stuff looks something like Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. But you walk around, you're a vampire. I'm very much interested in this. I would like to see how it is. Hyper Light Breaker, a game that I've actually featured on a video a long time ago. This is going into early access. It is very colorful. 3D hack and slash, jumping around, gliding around. Definitely check that out. That's Hyper Light Breaker. I'm looking forward to the main game. I think this is a PC exclusive for right now. It might go to console, or I don't know if they double check that if y'all really care if it's going to console. But I do know it was originally advertised just for PC. They show more footage of the Chronos game. We can jump over that. There was a game called God's Death and Reapers. It looks like a Resident Evil clone. But I'm not mad at having some Resident Evil clones. But another horror game out there for anybody who wants to check it out. Go check it out. There was a game called Wild Blue that I wrote down. Wild Blue looks just like a Star Fox game. So you're doing the whole space shooter type thing while you're in one of those ships. But it doesn't look more like Star Wars. It does look more just like a Star Fox from like the GameCube, basically. Go check that out. There's a couple more things on here. So everything that I mentioned so far, I was wish listing on Steam, and some stuff had demos. So if you go check them out, you can claim the demo and download and play the demo right away. So check those out. There was a game called Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree. That one looked pretty dope. That also has a demo. I believe it's $30 when it comes out on September 18th, 2025. It's an action roguelike. Just go check it out. Go get the demo. Shape of Dreams. This one I actually put down on a list for us to play. This is a co-op hack and slasher. It does have a demo. It comes out on September 11th, 2025. I have a list of let me actually pull that up because I put this on a list of games for us to play as co-op. I still got Whisper Mountain Outbreak, which was the other Resident Evil looking game from before. And then another game that I'm gonna mention later on under this show, that's called Jump Space, and then Lords of the Fallen 2. Anyways, there was a game called Serial World. You should have watched this show so you could see this, man. Serial World was a very interesting one because this was a full-blown Pokemon clone. And when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, Are they gonna catch the heat or not? I don't know. Are we gonna be able to play this, download it real quick before they catch the heat? This is a full blown Pokemon looking Pokemon Stadium type game called Serial World. You go in there, there's a bunch of monsters and stuff going on. So people clearly don't care about Nintendo and how mad they be about all this stuff. But I wrote that down. I thought it was interesting. Little Nightmares 3, they showed some gameplay of that. That shows up October 10th, 2025. And then one of my favorites that I wrote down a while ago, Phantom Blade Zero. This has a demo as well that you can check out. Phantom Blade Zero, more of your hack and slasher, 3D hack and slasher, very flashy. You can see this under Steam for the demo. Comes out September 10th, 2025. When I say September is stacked, man. There's so much stuff here. If you really like, if your birthday was in September, oh boy, you have so much you could play. Metal Eden was another game that I wrote down that I really liked. I don't think I have too much other information on here. All I know is it is another September release, September 2nd, and it does have a demo. I wrote that down. Let's see. The Jump Space game that I mentioned before has co-op in it. It looks like Starfield, kinda. It's a space-ish game. You got your shooter elements. You out there doing what you got to do. You in space. You got your spaceships. You moving around in space. You doing what you got to do. I believe that comes out September 19th, 2025. I thought it was pretty interesting. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on this co-op list, and we'll circle back to it later. They did show Pragmata. I didn't really care too much about Pragmata because of Pragmata's shenanigans in the past. But they said it's gonna have a 2026 release. They didn't do the whole "oh, we're sorry" type thing. They just kind of showed some gameplay. It's like, okay, whatever. I at this point, when it comes to Pragmata, I just want to see the actual game itself. For anybody who's not familiar, that's the space game where you had the little like girl there that's like probably part robot. They had a cat at one point in one of them trailers that was like all robot, and you're in this like Bugs Lightyear outfit, and she jumps on your back or on your shoulder and you shooting stuff down. Basically, you know what I'm talking about, right? Pragmata. That's like the big Capcom game that ain't came out in forever. I'm like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? There was another game called Cantonaut. This is a very super fast slasher, 2D slasher with a demo. I don't know if I spelled it or said it right, but Katanaut. That comes out on September 10th, 2025. Yes, it has a demo as well. They showed in this particular show a trailer for Halloween. Yes, Michael Myers Halloween. Different from any of the other games that came out before that's like based on the Halloween theme. This one's going to be a standalone game based on all the original type movies and everything. Halloween the game, they just gave it a 2026 release. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see this until Halloween 2026, and that's cool because it'll give them some time. It would be weird to have this come out any other time anyway, but Halloween 2026. Did you see any trailers or anything on this game at all in the wild?
So I've seen actually a lot of trailers and a lot of people talking about it. It looks good. It's just it looks like Dead by Daylight, but very specific to Halloween. Has some extra stuff into it as well. But for those that need like a small break from Dead by Daylight, it looks like they're gonna be eating good with like a real good substitute.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for the Future Game Show. But there was a lot of titles there. Like I said, if your birthday was in September, you're going to be eating good, man. All these games come out in September. So much for you. So much for you out there. I'm just saying. Anyways, Gamescom Gamescom Night 3. So, you're telling me you didn't see Gamescom Night 3? You didn't see that one? Man, you missing out, man. That was the award show. That was they did the award show for Gamescom Night 3, man. They did that. Yes.
Okay.
Listen, man, I can tell you right now, there's a particular game out there that didn't meet none of these awards. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even mentioned nowhere in this, but that's okay. There's a particular game out there that claims to be like one of them game of the years. They didn't even mention that one there. They
didn't need to be mentioned. It
already
won.
They didn't even mention that one.
It already won.
But anyways,
getting mentioned because people about to forget about it. It already won. That's no about one. Quit hating.
This was the Gamescom award show, Night 3. They showed like pretty much all awards in the middle of them having their interviews and they're talking. They had like a whole bunch of fans, you know, behind the guardrails. They was everywhere. They had a couple co-hosts out there. They were presenting awards to people. And you're gonna see a running theme here, but I'm gonna go through this real quickly. Most epic game. That award went to Resident Evil Requiem. That was the most epic game.
That's the most epic. It ain't out yet.
Best visuals went to Resident Evil Requiem. That went to Resident Evil Requiem. Yes. They had another award that was called Best Audio. That also went to Resident Evil Requiem. Man, Resident Evil was out here winning awards, man. I'm just saying. They was cleaning up. Best gameplay actually went to the Donkey Kong Bonanza game. It was like best gameplay, okay. Best or most entertaining went to a game called Hella, 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 basically. I don't know too much about it, but hey. Most wholesome game also went to Hella. You know what I'm saying? 2 awards back to back. Games for Impact went to Tiny Bookshop, I believe. Don't know too much about it, but it's okay. Best moving game, something that moves you. This went to a game called Love and Deep Secure. I think that says secure. I may have butchered my writing, but Love and Deep something. I don't know. It's best game. Then we had best Microsoft Xbox game. And that award went to Grounded 2. Interesting enough, best PlayStation game was next. That went to Resident Evil Requiem. I don't know how they explain that, but okay. Best Switch 2 game. Bam! That went to Mario Kart World. Best PC game went to Anno 117. Actually, there's more to that name, but I only wrote down Anno 117. Go look that up. Heart of Gaming Award went to artist. His name was Artist Alleys. I don't know who that is, but he won the best Heart of the Gaming Man. Best lineup went to Capcom, obviously, because of Resident Evil. They won best lineup. Best trailer went to Hollow Knight 6 Silksong. Bam. Funny enough, they had a best booth award, which was the best booth at Gamescom. It's like none of us could actually see this booth. But the person who had the best booth was actually, or the entity, I should say, was Ubisoft. You know what I'm saying? And then they had the best booth award again, but this time it was Player's Choice. You got to vote on this. And they all said it was the Pokemon booth. Best merch came from a group called Starbirds Gotcha. I guess, you know, and that was the award show, man. That was all the awards that they showed on this show. And you telling me you missed this award show, man? You actually, I
feel like I didn't really miss much.
You missed the award show. Oh my God. You missed the award show. Anyways, the next thing that I actually have on my list is the Gamescom Indy show.
Yeah.
You saw this show?
Yeah, it was. I don't have any games from it. Like nothing stood out to me as something that I want, but I also didn't think it was a bad show. Like if that makes sense. Like there was nothing that I wanted out of it, but I thought like they had a bunch of reveals, a bunch of stuff. Um, so it didn't feel like a horrible just show. It was just nothing that I planned on getting.
Um, I think I put on here. Funny enough, I wrote down cool ideas,
Yeah.
but not for me yet. That's what I put.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like I think that's a good way to put it. Like I didn't think again that it was just some terrible show. There's been terrible shows in the past, but it was just there was nothing on there that I wanted. So yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Cool ideas, but not for me.
Um, I did put. I didn't write the full name. I said the fishing game with the weird skits has good music.
Okay.
That's what I put. I want y'all to go back, find the fishing game because that music was dope. I'm just saying it had really good music. I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Games have good music. You know, when games have good music, it almost make you want to play it. But I ain't really want to play this one. I just want to listen to the music. Please go find it and listen to the music. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, Gamescom Day 4. Now,
Okay.
the
I
first
watched
thing.
half of this.
Well, I just want to mention first, the audio was somewhat out of sync from what I've seen from the actual live event. So their
It was at the
mouths.
beginning. I don't think it was later on. Maybe it still was, and I just stopped paying attention. But it felt like later on it was fine. But definitely at the beginning it was out of sync.
Yeah, I think maybe there was just like an error and then it maybe just refreshed. But I actually think the other day was the same way, but I just noticed that myself. It didn't take me completely out of it, but it was just kind of something that I noticed. That's all I just wanted to say on that.
I will
But
say, so one of the things that stood out to me was again how much the guy was told when he was talking about Silent Hill how much he was really trying to explain it's not Souls like. He was like, "Oh, people are gonna see you dodge and have stamina and assume it's a Souls like." I would just like to say that existed in horror games before Souls like, and it was in our games, and it's not a Souls like. But he's like really kept stressing it. He was like, "It's not a Souls like," but then he was like, "You gotta like counter and react at very specific times." But then would also be like, "But it's not gonna be difficult because it's not a Souls like."
um, yeah, I think we'll get to it because I think that's like the second thing that I wrote down. The first thing that I wrote down though, was the gameplay that they showed from the Dying Light game. I think it's called Dying Light the Beast or something like that.
The Beast, yeah.
I still remember Dying Light 2 mentioned that it was like 500 hours worth of content or something. I didn't actually play that game yet, but I do have it. If anybody actually went through to that, I don't know how you not burned out on Dying Light, but here's another one. They didn't mention it yet, but I wonder if they expanded on the 500 hours or is it still like a whole bunch of hours or whatever it is. Maybe it's cut down to 300 or something, or maybe they decided to go like to 600 or 700. I don't know, but the Dying Light looked pretty cool as far as the whole parkour and stuff. I know some people have mentioned that they get nauseous when it comes to this type of game, but I'm open to it. Like I said, I got the original ones, so I will check it out.
Well, they said 500 hours, but according to How Long to Beat, for a completionist run, it's 100 hours.
Okay.
Like the main is 25, main and extra is 50, completion is 100. So it's not like you just gotta play it twice. Because probably play it and then play it on like a really difficult, more difficulty. And then there's Dying Light 2 Stay Human Blood Ties. For a completionist of that, for the DLC, it's about 23 hours. That
Yeah, I
was
think it was Dying Light
125
2 was
hours
the
now.
one that they said. Like, I don't know. Now, 100 hours sounds a lot more reasonable of a
Yeah,
title.
I just remember people calling it out when he said 500 hours, and everybody's like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, maybe they were inflating it based on like some of the extra stuff. But yeah, 100 is way better. I would say that's a way better. But Silent Hill F was the very next thing that I saw on this day that I actually wrote down and was really paying more attention to on this day. Did you like watch the gameplay and what did you think of it if you did?
The other Silent Hill, so I don't think I'm gonna get it, but it looked good.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna get it. I did buy Silent Hill 2 remake recently. I believe for the people out there, you might be able to find that online under Walmart and under Amazon brand new for $30 right now. It was on sale. I don't know if it went back up, but if you check right now, you might be able to see that. This is supposed to be its own thing. It's not a remake of any of the earlier PlayStation games or Xbox games. Um, but from the gameplay, from what I've seen, I did write that the combat looks a little off, but it works for what you're doing because the person you're playing as is not like a Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 4 or something. Like they're not an expert in combat or whatever. It's just it really is survival horror where the girl is trying to defend herself the best way she can with things coming at her. This is another game that's actually coming out in September 25th, 2025. I think this is one of the more bigger releases of September. I probably will come back to this title when it's in that $30 range, just like the other Silent Hill. And I actually do own a lot of the older Silent Hills and have some of them on emulation. So I plan to run through that series. But I will say, not that it's really a competition or anything, but I'm more of a Resident Evil head overall. But there's still room for people to play both Resident Evil and this, and like Chronos and other games. Like there's, a lot that you can really, gravitate towards if you're a horror game player. But yeah, I saw more Silent Hill here than any of the other days. But the next thing they showed was more Hollow Knight. We don't really have to spend more time on that. But then they also show High on Life 2's gameplay. Did you pay attention to that? That's one of the games you like, right?
Sure did. That was the only thing from this day 4 that I liked that I remember. Yeah, High on Life 2 looks great. I'm really happy I played through the first one. Otherwise, I would have ignored this. I like that it just jumps. It seems like it just jumps right in. I actually went and watched. It was like the first like hour or so. I watched like of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it dives right in and like looks like it keeps up with the same humor without like because the main guy is not in there anymore. The guy who created Rick and Morty, everyone kind of distanced themselves from him. But it seems like it's able to keep up without him. So I'm excited for that game.
Funny enough, this game had a 2D counterpart that I didn't really pay attention to, but I think I am going to go back and purchase. But Super Meat Boy 3D. This is the 3D platformer to the Super Meat Boy franchise that was more of a 2D game where it looks like it has a good challenge to it. The other one did as well. Where you're playing as a piece of meat and you can get sliced up a lot if you're not careful. But I still really enjoy platformers. This one looks like it's on the challenging side. Usually a platformer is not. So that makes this one a little bit more unique for me. It's not really a new title, but this is the first time I've seen some more gameplay for it. But I wish list this. I think I am going to go back and play the other Super Meat Boy. I didn't download it or I didn't purchase it yet, but I am going to. They also show more Sonic Crossroads gameplay. The one thing that was standing out to me was the gameplay that they were showing with the Yakuza character. I think his name is Ichima. I just know he was just in his cart standing up so many times and just cheering and stuff. It was almost like non-realistic that he would get up and jump up in his cart as the cart's driving forward. I'm just like, that don't really make that much sense. But they showed that. They showed more of the Pac-Man games collab with Sonic and everything, because both of them are, crossing into each other's games. And then they showed a game, the Dragon Quest game. I forgot which one it is. I don't know if it's 3 or 1 and 2, but they showed more gameplay on that. I thought it still looked really good. I remember at first I thought it was Octopath Traveler 0, but it's not. It was the Dragon Quest. You're familiar with Dragon Quest, right? Have you played any of those titles?
I haven't, but I will at some point on probably one of the emulation devices.
Well, this is one of the new ones, the remake of a new one. And I paid attention to it because I was really interested in it. That's really all I have for day 4. That's it?
There was one thing that surprisingly, it kind of upset me. When I saw it, they were talking to the guy who's like in charge of the event, the German guy.
Okay.
Who like pretty much put the whole thing on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny, like he was talking about the different games, and he's like, it's really cool that you can have like something AAA, like, and I forgot what game he mentioned. I think it was Silent Hill F. And then he was like, and then you can have something more family oriented, like the Batman game, and then something indie like Hollow Knight 2. It was like, it's cool that all this is at this event. And he's just talking and talking. And then the last question that the interviewer asked him was like, so out of all the games shown and everything, because we're in day 4, which one are you most excited for? And he could have just lied and just picked one. And he just said, like, he sat there and he said, oh, I don't play video games. And he was like, yeah, I used to in my younger days, but now, like, I have work and, like, a family and hobbies that I enjoy, is how he put it. And it was like, but they showed so many things that I might have to jump back in, so maybe if you ask me next year, I'll actually have a game. And it was like, bro, you could have lied. And it just reminded me of the fact that it's like, how many times the people in charge of, like, these type of things do not care about these type of things at all. And it's like, they always feels like, why are you there? Like,
yeah.
Why are you putting this whole thing? Because, like, luckily for this, it seems like everything was, like, great. But it's like, the moment everything starts making a bad decision, it's because someone in charge doesn't care. And it brings me back to my hatred for Warner Bros. And everything with the guy in charge is not caring. But it was just, and this whole, the CEO mindset stuff, where it's like, really? Like, you should have just let Jack Keighley do the interview. Like, why'd you sit there and do the interview then? And, like, you didn't pick a game out of everything showed. You just mentioned 3. All he had to say, like, because no one was going to check him and everything. All he had to say was Silent Hill F and call it a day. Or say Lego Batman because I can enjoy it with my family. Since you mentioned your family, like, you could have just picked anything. Like, that's the thing is, in your interview, you mentioned 3 games. And then when he got that question, it was just how quickly he's like, oh, I don't play video games. And that made it sound like it's beneath him. Because he's like, I don't play video games. He's like, I don't have time. I'd love to. He's like, I don't play. It's the way he said, like, pretty much, oh, I have hobbies that I actually enjoy. Like, it's kind of how he put it. And it's just like, bro, why are you here? So that was the last thing I saw from day 4, and I cut it off. And then we had to get to recording. But, like, it was just, that was the last thing, and it soured me on it.
Hey, he kept it real, man. He kept it. He here for the money. He here just for like everybody else. He here for the money.
Just don't admit it. He had a way out. Like, it was just so easy. Again, it wasn't gonna be like, all right, we'll be checking your gamer score like next year to see if you actually played it. Like, no one was gonna do that. So he could have just picked a game, and the question would have been over.
Hey, he kept it real, man. That's all you can do is keep it real, I guess. I don't know. Day 5, which is, I believe, the last day. 2-hour event. It was actually 2 days of this recording. And I caught day 5 because your boy out here working hard, you feel me? I caught it. I caught the whole thing. Not too much I really need to point out. I will run through real quick what was shown that I looked at. More Batman, more Blood of the Dawn Walker, more Resident Evil Requiem, Hollow Knight. A lot of repeats here. They also show Borderlands 4. This is actually the day that they got on here and tried their hardest not to bury Kirby Air Riders, but they did anyway. And then they kind of proceeded to praise Pokemon ZA right after that, talking about that's actually one of their better experiences. They show more of the Indiana Jones DLC, which I believe is called Order of the Giants. And then they showed a game that I am looking forward to, the next game that I'm going to pre-order with my gift cards, and that is Metroid Prime 4. First time showing this out of all of the Gamescom thing. They showed this really late, but they were just showing little highlights and stuff here and there. Is what you expect, your first person shooter for Nintendo. I'm looking forward to it. I will be copping it day one. And then they had 2 new titles that I've never seen before that I actually thought was hilarious, because one of them is called Slap Fighter. If anybody is familiar with like them slap UFC style events and stuff, they actually got a game called Slap Fighter that's in VR, where you can hop in the game itself. It has a full story mode where you can get in there and then you can go ahead and slap the VR thing. Maybe you could put on one of those like helmets or whatever it is, where they give you the feedback, the haptic feedback, so you can feel the slap when they slap you back. You know what I'm saying? But that's a new game that they got. It was a game also called My Child of Ages, which is a PC platformer. They reference Breath of the Wild. It really ain't got nothing to do with Breath of the Wild, but it's just a nice big atmospheric world where you can jump around and climb up trees and all that type of stuff. It looks really nice from a distance. So that's My Child of Ages, and it's starting off on PC right now, and then it's going to come to the console later on down the line. And that is really it, man. That's all I have from day 5. I believe that closed the event for Gamescom. So Gamescom in itself was 5 days of events, including also an additional show for its indie showcase, and then an additional show from the future game show, which I actually thought was the highlight. And so all together, we'll be looking at 7 shows within this one event by itself. And then we had our Kirby show earlier on, which is 8 shows altogether, man. Could there have been more? Absolutely, man. I felt like there was I felt like we was missing out, I guess. But we had plenty of shows. I wasn't expecting that many. I just knew it was a whole event, but I'm glad I caught all of it.
I will also say, though, besides those 8 other things that I was also watching, I watched people's gameplay from the Battlefield 6, the beta that came out. Mm-hmm. So I was watching people play Battlefield, and I was watching the Rad Brad play the Vampire Masquerade Bloodline 2, along with watching the first 45 minutes, which I didn't watch the full thing because I didn't want to spoil it anymore, but the 45 minutes of High on Life 2. So it was those 8 shows plus a bunch of people dropping full-on gameplay footage, and I watched 2 different people do the Battlefield. It was Angry Joe and RDC World. So it was too much to watch this week.
There was a lot of gameplay footage. I did put in here as a bonus because I think I also mentioned it earlier. The Garfield Kart 2, which I believe the whole name is Garfield Kart 2 All You Can Drift. I will say it does look somewhat of a cheap clone of Crash and Mario a little bit. But I mean, a racer is a racer. It's another game where you play as some of your favorite people from the Garfield show. All the Garfield people show up, and you could play that. Do I want y'all to play that day one? Not really, but I mean, if you want to, go ahead. But last thing I do want to mention, as Jeff Keighley did mention somewhere at the end of the first night show, that the Game Awards will be December 11th, and that will be the day we crown Expedition 33 as Game of the Year, baby. Absolutely. That is the show. Super overtime. 2 hours in. Won't be that long next week, I promise you. But that is all it is. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Fire up some Diablo, I believe. And like, comment, share, subscribe. We will catch you next time. Peace.